Alright, so let's go take the steps of how to remove and service the blower motor. It's pretty straightforward. You can do this while you're doing your tankless flush. It's only a couple of screws, and we'll get started. First thing you do is shut off the power, shut off the gas. So you just have to press the power button, shuts it off. Okay, shut the gas off. Okay. Now, next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna take off the control board. Okay. There's a couple of wires that you might have to disconnect just to get yourself a little bit more room, just to make it a little bit easier for yourself. Okay, so let's start. First thing you do, what I like to do, is that on here, there are two screws right here. So just grab Phillips head number 2. 1 and 2. This holds the bracket of the computer. Alright, next we can remove some of the wires that are going to be in the way. So this is the blower motor wire right here. You can disconnect that now. It's pigtailed onto this wire here, so that's just to hold the wire in place. Okay. Some other wires that you may need to disconnect, that at least I like to disconnect because they're very small and I don't want to break them. There's a little horseshoe clip here. Just put that to the side. Take this blue one off and this white one off. These are your flame rods. This one you don't have to take. This is your overfilm wrap plug. So that one's pretty loose, so you don't need to take that off. But I like to take off the flame ones because they're a little tight, so I like to take them off. Now you take off these two screws on top. Now it should just tilt down out of your way. Okay. Now you don't need to touch the inner screws. You don't need to touch these inner screws. You're going to take out the smaller side screws. Where are you? Where am I? Here, here, and here. Those are the screws you take out. You don't need to take out the other screws that hold the housing. There are pigtail wires here to hold down all the harnesses. Just get that out of your way. There's one here. And now at the bottom. Before I do that, usually I like to make a mark to know that I lined up right. So I put a mark here, but also I put a mark here. That way I know that that's the orientation. Just makes it a little bit easier to reference it. There's also one down here. There's a pigtail here for this sensor. This black wire sensor here that I'm taking out. This sensor here is your ambient air temperature sensor. So it senses the cabinet temperature. Don't break it. Just swing it out of your way. Okay. Swing it out. Pull the harness out. So all you gotta do, this is a blower motor. It's pretty small. So all you got nice. Make sure there's no broken fins, debris. Check inside the box, inside the breather box. You know, make sure there's no. Get a vacuum cleaner, get a rag or something. Don't make it a wet rag. just a damp rag, like lightly damped, clean all the dust out. Okay, so this, make sure there's nothing in there. And once that's in, you could reverse all the process. So again, the line was on this side here at 2 o'clock, so put it back at 2 o'clock. And just reverse the process. The best thing to have is a magnetic screwdriver. If you have a magnetic screwdriver, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to do all this stuff. That way you don't have to fumble around and put 2 fingers on it. Once the 3 screws are in, make sure they're all tight. You don't have to crank them, just snug them. They'll bite into the sheet metal, and then you'll know it's tight. So, bottom one is the ambient air sensor. One hangs out these upper harnesses, the gas valve and such. So wrap that around there. Okay. Don't forget to wire your. Don't forget to put back the harness down here. Okay. Tuck everything nice in there. Don't forget to drag your wires out here. Okay. And then put back the screws. The good thing is about this tankless is that most of the screws are pretty much all the same. So they're all kind of the same screws, so you don't have to worry too much on this particular part of the tankless. They're all the same, except to the exception of the bottom one that has the washer on it. After that's done, plug in your harness, blower motor harness. Click here to click. Fold this wire back into the holder. Don't forget your flame rods here. They're color coordinated, so you can't mess it up. Blue goes to blue. The white goes to white. Okay, and to tie it all up, you take your horseshoe clip, throw the small wires in here, tie it around, somewhere. Once that's all in, turn the gas on, turn the power back on. It'll say 50 or 120 if you're in the States or whatever. Just click it to wherever you want. So I have 55. Now you want to test it. The fan. There's easier way to test the fan. So there's min, max, and adjust. Okay, so if you press these buttons, you can do minimum blower motor operation and maximum blower motor operation. So here we're just telling the computer, turn on the blower motor only, it won't fire. So we know that it's plugged in. That's minimum fire. And you want maximum fire, you hold down max. Okay, and that's just a quick way to say that everything is okay. If there's no codes on your control board, you're good to go. So that's taking care of the blower motor.